the Ciryl Gane robbery, Alexandre Pantoja calling out Demetrious Johnson, and Demetrious Johnson actually responding. And also, why was Dana White so mad at the post-fight press conference?
Is this tonight's stupid question night?
We're going to talk about all that and more, starting with the Ciryl Gane fight. Ciryl Gane fight Alexander Volkov, but I had said that this fight was going to be close, seeing that, you know, I thought that Volkov was going to grapple, and yes, he grappled. But we saw Ciryl Gane make a lot of improvements in the first round. Yes, you know, Ciryl Gane did get taken down, but eventually did win this round, and even took down Volkov on his own. But the second round, I thought Volkov won. It was a little bit close, which I'm going to get into in a second, especially with that spinning back fist that Volkov landed. And the third round, I thought this clearly went to Volkov, no doubt about it. Ciryl Gane held on to a Kimura for way too long. Like, that definitely wasn't going to be able to submit Volkov, but because he kept holding on to it, you know, the whole round just passed and Ciryl Gane lost. I think this might have been because of an injury maybe Ciryl Gane got, because Ciryl Gane, when he got taken down in that third round, it seemed like his knee kind of bent the wrong way and he kind of winced in pain. Now, I know apparently he said in round 1 he broke his toe, but I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes with knee injuries you don't realize right away. Of course, the decision got read, and yeah, Ciryl Gane did win the fight somehow. Like, I think most people disagree with this. I think it was a horrendous decision, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think that any reasonable human being could probably come to that. And the reason I'm not saying it's a robbery is because when you put a decision in the judge's hand, you're putting it literally in their hands. Like, there is human error involved in all of that. That's why you don't want it to go to the scorecard, right? That's why you shouldn't just wait around. And of course, there's times with horrendous decisions like the Jared Gordon and Paddy Pimblett fight, but this one was very bad, and I wouldn't disagree that it's a robbery, but it was just too close. I'm doing a live stream at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in. I'm going to talk about each fight, you know, from the beginning to the end in depth, and I'll answer all your questions there, so go tune in. Shavkat, Rakhmonov, and Garry went down, and yeah, Conor McGregor actually did react. We're going to get into that in a second. Shavkat versus Garry was close, right? And I don't think that a lot of people expected it to be close, but I did, right? I had said Shavkat by decision, which is what happened. Round 1 and 2 was boring for Shavkat, because Shavkat, yes, you know, as I said, he needed to trap Garry up against the fence, you know, and really use his clinch game, because I think that's where Shavkat really shows his strength. But the referee broke up the clinch early on, which I think really affected how Shavkat was fighting later on. I will say, I think this definitely needed to be broken up. As a fan, it's definitely more exciting when it's broken up. Garry was picking apart Shavkat in round 3, and that's kind of how I said Garry was going to win if he was going to win, right? You know, using his footwork, you know, landing low kicks, landing a jab, and just out-voluming Shavkat. Now, I think it was after this round, in between, in the corner, Garry had to change his shorts because his shorts ripped mid-fight. Like, it was absolutely crazy. This is the first time we've seen this, I think, ever in the UFC. Round 4, we saw Shavkat take down Garry, winning the round, and in round 5 was probably one of the craziest rounds, with Garry coming back, winning the 5th round, and almost getting a rear naked choke submission on Shavkat. It was so close, I genuinely thought it was going to get in at one point. Now, I think, showed great takedown defense. I think he showed that he is legit. Like, this is a guy who is very good. I gave him a lot of credit this week for taking on fights. Like, we can make fun of him for being in the cuck chair all day, all we want. I mean, I'm just glad he stopped clinching like this. But at the end of the day, this guy does have balls, and you got to give him credit. Like, this guy is down to fight anybody, and I respect that so much. That is what I look for in a fighter. I don't like Garry outside of the cuck stuff. Like, I think he's done some bad things in the past. I got to be unbiased and say, yeah, he deserves some credit here. And that being said, I want to talk about Shavkat being hated on, with Shavkat being called overrated. Now, I don't think he's overrated. I think this is just a testament to how good Garry is. And another thing to consider is Garry and Shavkat have trained together, meaning that, yeah, Garry kind of knows some of the strengths Shavkat has, maybe some of the weaknesses. But keep in mind, Garry has switched coaches. He is a different fighter than when he last trained with Shavkat, while Shavkat isn't really that different. So that was a big advantage for Garry. But I hope that Garry fights Colby next. I really do. I think no matter what, win, lose, or draw for Colby next week, I would love to see that fight. I've been wanting to see that fight for a while. And Shavkat versus Belal is next, right? We saw them face off in the octagon. Kind of a weird face off. You know, we saw security kind of struggle not letting Belal Muhammad get through. And Conor McGregor had a field day with this. And yeah, you guys have to hear what he has to say.
The security doesn't know he's the champ. Look at the state of this cunt. The security doesn't know he's the champ. I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. These Twitter voice notes don't hit the same, honestly. Alexandre Pantoja calls out Demetrious Johnson after he beats Kai Asakura. And yeah, DJ actually responded. We're gonna get into that too. Alexandre Pantoja clearly won against Kai Asakura, right? Totally clowning my prediction I had last week, saying that Kai Asakura was gonna get it done. But look, it wasn't the one-sided beatdown that a lot of people said it was going to be. Like, the first round was pretty close. A good flying knee from Kai Asakura. He was very awkward for Alexandre Pantoja to deal with. with early on, which is what I predicted. And Pantoja in round 2, you know, overall, look, he just got the takedown, got the sub, and he won. Obviously, Kai Asakura was battling a lot of things going to this fight, and being his first UFC fight, his first cut down to flyweight, his first time even fighting in a cage. Like, it was a lot of big deals for him. So it wasn't necessarily the biggest shock. Like, yeah, I definitely knew it was going to be close, and there was a big chance Kai Asakura was going to lose. But I think Alexandre Pantoja might have the call out of the year. I thought this was absolutely genius, calling out Demetrious Johnson. Pantoja calls out DJ, saying, look, you retired, yes, but let's find out who's the best. He thinks that he is the best, of course. He wants to be the greatest flyweight of all time. And DJ did respond to this. DJ tweeted out saying, guys, I got offered $2 million to fight. I turned it down. I don't care to fight anymore. YouTube video dropping soon. Demetrious Johnson also responded on his YouTube channel, and he reacted to the call out live.
For you, Demetrious Johnson.
Who,
I'm
me?
the GOAT here.
My black ass ain't coming out of that.
Come back.
Bank count sitting nice and good. 38 years old, 11 consecutive title defenses. Champ ain't coming back.
But I think it needs to happen. I think this would be a great fight. And look, I think even though Demetrious Johnson said he's not down, I could very easily seeing him change his mind if the public demand is high enough. If everybody's asking him, you know, if this is like a big fight. At the end of the day, DJ is a fighter too, so he's going to want to prove himself. And this would just be huge. Him returning to the UFC, especially if the money is good. I think the biggest problem here is going to be the one championship contract because, yeah, DJ is still under contract with one, even though he retired. So does one just let him go for free? Like, does one need to be paid off? Like, that's going to be a whole situation that they're going to have to figure out. But after the fight, right, Dana White was very mad, as I said before. But Dana White responded to the Conor McGregor lawsuit. I mean, talked about Merab, even lashing out at reporters. I mean, Dana White looked like a guy who was failing his anger management classes. But first, Dana White was asked about the Conor McGregor lawsuit, and he had no comment, no surprise there.
Conviction in the civil court and the penalties he faced.
What do you mean? What's my reaction?
Do you have any comment about what his...
If I had a comment, I would have put it out already.
What about his status with the UFC? Is there
He hasn't been fighting here in I don't know how long. If he does fight, it'll be sometime next year.
Dana also took shots at Kron Gracie and also said that Clay Guida, Chris Weidman, Anthony Smith, and Kron Gracie himself should all retire following their defeats. And even went after Merab, saying that he was a mini Strickland and criticizing him for wanting to fight people outside of the octagon.
He's my mini Strickland.
I mean, Merab has obviously been causing problems, right? He tried to fight a fan, you know, when he was walking away from the octagon with Aljamain, which I'll talk about that fight later. He also had a big confrontation with Umar at the UFC 311 press conference, even had to be separated at the press conference away from Islam to, I guess, avoid problems. UFC 312 also got announced during the live stream. Dricus du Plessis vs. Sean Strickland 2 is the main event for the February pay-per-view in Australia, which is a weird choice seeing the troubles that Sean Strickland had last time we went to Australia. But Zhang Weili vs. Tatiana Suarez is the co-main event, which, look, let's be honest, I don't know if this fight is going to happen. Tatiana Suarez is pulled out of a lot of fights. She seems very prone to injury. I'm not hoping that this fight falls through, but I'm just saying hopefully they have a backup prepared. Just to recap some of the other fights before we go, Kron Gracie absolutely failed again, just pulling guard on Bryce Mitchell despite, you know, criticizing his last performance. He literally did the same thing over again. Dominic Reyes dominated Anthony Smith, and it was sad to see because, you know, Smith just looked broken from the walkout, obviously dealing with a loss of his friend. Smith also seemingly retired, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him back. Like, I feel like when a fighter is like, oh, I might retire, that means they're coming back. Vicente Luque got a quick submission against Thembe Gorimbo, which was good seeing how the Nick Diaz matchup fell through. You know, I kind of felt bad for Luque. Those were Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. You know, a lot of people saying this fight was a robbery. It was a very close fight. I gave the first round to Sterling, the second round for Movsar, and I thought the round 3 did go to Sterling, so I did give it to Aljamain. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, damage, what did Aljamain Sterling do? Well, yes, the last 30 seconds or so was Evloev, you know, throwing a lot of punches, which what made the round close. People forget that in the rule book, like, slams count as damage, right? They count as effective damage, especially if they're loud, and Sterling slammed him a couple times in that round, so I think it definitely evened it out. Plus the control time from Sterling, I think he had more control time that round. I thought Sterling won the fight, but, you know, at the end of the day, it was very close. I don't think anyone has anything to be ashamed of. Like I said, today we're doing a live stream later, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in, guys. Ask any questions. Prepare for it. Thank you guys for watching, guys. The best fan base in MMA. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.